Hello friends, John LeBon here on Monday the 9th of May 2016, and this is comment response number 3. And in today's video, or podcast if you like, we'll be taking a look at the comments left underneath JLBE1642, Flat Earth, Preponderance of Evidence or Circular Argument. Now, my comment response video series is a way for me to go through the comments that are left underneath my videos and reply to them directly in a way that everybody else can listen to, because I started off my channel trying to reply to every comment that was left, or everyone that I could reply to. But eventually, the number of comments that I get, the time that it takes me to reply to all of those, takes up literally hours and hours a week. And that's time that I could be spending doing research or making videos or what have you. So I find this a more efficient way to respond to the comments of the viewers. I do read all of the comments always, and with this comment response video series, I try to reply to as many as I can in as efficient a way as I can. So a lot of the things that are left in the comment section, they're echoed by 1 or 2 or 3 people. So by replying to them this way, hopefully I can address some of the questions or concerns or comments made by a number of people. Now, just like I've said with the first 2 comment response videos, the best thing for you to do is to download this and rip it to an mp3 and listen to it while you're walking. You won't lose anything by listening to this instead of watching it. And of course, by listening, it means you can walk and get out and get in the sun or get out in the nature or what have you, rather than be sitting in a house, on a chair, on a couch, listening to this. Just my advice. Obviously, you don't have to take it, but me personally, I love going for walks and listening to podcasts. And I think if you've never tried it before, if you just give it one try, you might find that it's a new thing that you like to do as well. Now, as for the video in question, I thought this one was actually pretty funny, if I do say so myself. Basically, I took a video from Globebusters where they interviewed Max Egan, and I cut out all of the sections where Max Egan said it was a circular argument. I cut out most of them anyway. I think I got most of them. And also where Bob and the rest of his panel used the term preponderance of evidence. And of course, the Globebusters are saying that they have this preponderance of evidence to prove that the Earth is flat. And they repeat that over and over, as we saw in my video 10 times in the one episode. They've got a preponderance of evidence that the Earth is flat. Whereas Max Egan, on the other hand, was saying that the flat Earth is a circular argument. It's a circular argument. No point talking about it. It's a circular argument. And obviously, I disagree with both of them, as is often the case. If there's 2 sides to a debate, there's a good chance I disagree with both sides. And if you're a thinking person, it's probably the case for you as well. So I thought I'd take the piss out of it a little bit and make a video where it's kind of like a contest to see who's going to repeat their slogan more than the other. And certainly in the case of the Globebusters, their preponderance of evidence is a slogan. And if you watch the comment sections and the people who watch their videos, you'll see that this is being repeated by their followers. Preponderance of evidence, preponderance of evidence. Most of these people clearly don't even know what that term means, but to them, what it means is that they have this big collection of evidence that the Earth is flat. Nothing that proves it definitively, but lots of little things that add up and tilt the scales or something like this. So that's what I was doing with the video. I thought it was pretty funny. A lot of people did. Obviously, a lot of people didn't, and we'll be responding to some of that in a moment. But at the time of me making this video, it's been about 2 weeks since I uploaded that one on April 24. 30 thumbs up, 31 thumbs down, so about even, which is pretty good. I think at this stage where my channel is and the kind of people who are subscribed to me, if I'm getting roughly as many thumbs up as thumbs down, I'm probably on the right track, and this one's almost perfectly. 30 versus 31, just under 1,000 views and over 120 comments. What's important with the comments isn't so much how many total comments there are, it's how many primary unique commenters they are. Because if you look at some videos, it'll say there's 200 comments, but 50 will just be from one back and forth argument. So how many people are actually engaging with the content? And in this video, there's more than 40 unique commenters. And of those, I plan to read out about 20 today. So I won't be able to read out all of them, but I have picked out about 20 that I think are worth responding to. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So let's get started, shall we? So Ed Upside Down Head says, Egan makes good points on this topic. I believe his assumption is that the majority of people agree that NASA is bullshit, which is not the case. And I think the point that Ed is making here is that Egan is saying that we all know NASA's bullshit. Ed doesn't think that we all know that NASA is nonsense. And I agree with Ed. I think if you speak to 100 people on the street and ask them, did men walk on the moon? I think the vast majority would say yes. I'd be pleasantly surprised if you took a random sample if even 10 of those 100 even showed skepticism towards it, let alone outright said, no, it was all clearly, done on a stage set or what have you. So I agree with you, Ed. I think if Egan is that optimistic about how many people know that NASA is nonsense, then I think his optimism is misplaced. And I guess this is one of the problems with this flat Earth renaissance that's taken over the internet, is that there's so much evidence that NASA are nothing but liars. They're complete and utter liars and fraudsters. And instead of people saying, hey, I'm a NASA skeptic or I'm a NASA debunker, they're calling themselves flat earthers. And straight away off the bat, somebody who might be open-minded, hearing, well, hold on, you're a NASA skeptic, what's there to be skeptical about? They're saying, oh, you're a flat earther, okay. And that's the end of the conversation. So that's one of the many problems with this flat earth renaissance, is that they've sort of they've made it their own thing, this criticism of NASA. And there are probably more people on the internet now criticizing NASA who call themselves flat earthers, or at least follow this scene, than those who don't. Or at least it certainly seems that way on YouTube. And when you consider how easy it is to debunk NASA and how hard it is to prove that the Earth is flat, you can see why it's a bit of a problem for those of us who want to see NASA brought down, that there are all these flat earthers parroting this nonsense that they believe in. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but Eds, thank you for the comment. Sean Hemmings has a long comment. I'm going to read this one out in full. I'm sorry, and I've shared Egan with many a friend throughout the years, but that sounded like a closed mind and not one piece of evidence was debated that I could determine. WTF. Today, 9/11 is actually getting traction in mainstream media and even within the President of the United States platforms. This would never have happened without the intrepid push of the citizen research community. Keeping anomalous data front and center in the consciousness of the masses proves to be a highly effective catalyst for change and transparency. I have been following Flat Earth for a year now. I cannot prove where we are, and this is the whole problem. Why can't I? Something is very amiss, and NASA is a psyop just like religion and institutional higher education. So there are a few things in that comment. The main reason I wanted to respond to this one from Sean was when he says that 9/11 is actually getting traction in the mainstream media. And that's because of citizen research community. Sean, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that any attention that 9/11 is getting in the media today has to do with the research of individuals and amateurs like myself and most of the people listening to this video? Why do you believe that? I mean, if you look at the video footage suggesting that planes went into buildings and you look at it objectively, very quickly you'll realize that no planes went into the buildings. However, the mainstream media and the government all told us that it did, and most people, they believe what they're told. They're complete and utter morons. They just believe what they're told. They're deluded, they're brainwashed, they're functional retards, and they believe all this nonsense. Now, why would the media come out and say, oh yeah, we lied to you about that? Chances are they're not going to. So what we're seeing at the moment in the media about this, 20 pages, these redacted pages of 9/11 and Saudi Arabian involvement, and involvement in what? It was a cartoon that was put on TV, and they told us all that it was real. So what's this Saudi Arabian involved? It's nonsense. It's crazy, man. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing terrific work exposing the nonsense. And I would like to think that the number of people who are waking up to the nonsense is growing daily, weekly, every month. I would like to think that. But this idea that that's why it's now getting talked about with these redacted pages. Sean, I would love for you to explain why you believe that. If you've got any evidence that people exposing this at a grassroots level are affecting the people who run the show. Because the people who run the show, they know just how much power and control they've got. They know they're controlling the minds of the masses. They've got very sophisticated ways of doing it, some of which I haven't even gone into detail on my channel yet, but that's coming. But most of us can see the easy ways they do it through their indoctrination, the 12 years at school, which you've touched on, and of course through the mainstream media. That's more than enough brainwashing for most people. They'll just believe whatever they're told to believe. But they've got other ways of doing it as well, and between all of those methods, they know they can say whatever they want, and the mindless masses are either going to believe it or at least go along with it, even when there's plenty of other people around saying, hey, this video footage of a plane going into a building, this is comical. This is clearly fake. This is worse than Hollywood from the 1970s. Why do you believe this crap? Well, because it had the letters LIVE on it, and the government said it was real. That's why people believe it. So anyway, Sean, thanks for the comment. Now, Laurie Gale says, one thing I don't like is when people put up clips of others' videos and don't say a word. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. There is already a YouTuber out there that only does this, then makes his points in the comments section because he's too cowardly, in my honest opinion, to use either his face or his voice. This video was a disappointment. If you have something to say, then say it. Well, thank you for the comment, Laurie. And if you go through the list, I've made, more than 100 videos now that I've uploaded to my channel, plus all the podcasts that I've done. So what's at 150? Who knows how much I've done? I've put my face to what I say. I put my voice to what I say. I'm happy to debate things with people in live debates. So I don't know why you would compare me to this other YouTuber that you're talking about. But in terms of your complaint about this video, what's wrong with it? I've taken the debate between Egan and the Globebusters. I've put my own little comical spin on it. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Why would you post this comment that you've posted, Laurie? I get the feeling that you might be one of those people who's very emotionally invested in this flat earth so-called movement. And so anytime you see somebody doing something that doesn't seem to help the movement, doesn't seem to promote the leaders that you've bought into, you don't like it, and that's why you leave the kind of comments that you do. And that's perfectly fine. You're allowed to do that, and I haven't deleted your comment. You can leave whatever comment you like on my channel. But if you are in any way emotionally invested in the flat earth so-called movement, my question to you would be, Laurie, why? Do you believe that these flat earth leaders care about you as a person, honestly? If you do believe that, why? Why do you believe that? And whatever your reason is, whatever your evidence that they care about you is, have you really sat down and thought objectively if that's good enough evidence to believe what you do? And do you really believe that this flat earth so-called movement is going to change the world at large for the better? And if you do believe that, why? And if you listen to this and you could leave your answers in the comments below this video on YouTube, I'd really appreciate that, because maybe I'm not saying something here, Laurie, but if you think that these people care about you, and that anytime somebody like me comes along and takes the piss out of them, that we're harming something, please tell me. You might be right. Maybe you can convince me. That'd be great. But anyway, Laurie, thank you for the comment, and I wish you all the best. David Sawyer says, Max Egan only proves he looks at things in circular ways. He said the same 10 things over and over. That doesn't prove anything. Yeah, that's a fair call, and I think you could make the exact same criticism of many of the leading flat earthers, just repeating the same thing over and over and over. Things like, say, preponderance of evidence, repeat it over and over, and then the numpties, they'll just believe it and repeat it. Jigsaw, who might be a new commenter, says, Max is right that the flat earth is promoted as fact, and anyone that doesn't agree gets attacked. Flat earthers realise it's a circular argument, and that's the way they want it to continue, to ask for your money. Interesting comment there, Jigsaw, or Gigsaw, however you pronounce your name there. And yeah, I mean, there are people out there who are going to benefit from this flat earth thing, whether it lasts another 6 months, another year, another 5 years, so long as they're at the tip of the spear, they're at the top of the pops, they're the ones with the largest audience bases, what have you, they have the most to benefit, whether that's through money or through attention or what have you. And a point that I've made before is that you can pay people with money. You can also pay people with your attention. You're paying people attention. When you give people attention, you're paying them in a very real way. And there are some people, they don't need money to benefit from getting your attention. The attention is enough. And it seems to me that there are a lot of people, if this is a circular argument, the whole flat earth thing, and by circular we simply mean if this is something that's going to go around and around, which is what I think Max meant when he was saying that, then there are people who'd be quite happy for that to be the case, because so long as that's going on, hey, they're getting a few thousand listeners every week, they're getting donations, maybe they'll get some paid subscriptions going forward. What do they care if this takes another 5 years going around and around and around? Maybe they don't. Freedom Patriot says, this interview was the first time I heard Max lose his temper. At the end of the day, if people want to research flat earth, that is their prerogative. I'm not a flat earther, but I find the topic fascinating. What shits me is whilst all these flat earthers keep talking about how the earth is flat, none of them have taken a flight that exists with a compass and documented it. Max supplied some very interesting information during this episode in relation to his compass. Why is that not enough to get a Mark Sargent on a plane himself? And whilst he's in Chile, take a cruise down to Antarctica during summer and document the amount of sunlight. And before somebody says you can't get to the heart of Antarctica, I say you can get far enough south to experience 20 hours of sunlight at least. This exercise would cost $15,000 tops, and this could be raised via crowdfunding in a day. If I believed in something like flat earth, I would be compelled to do these two things. The fact that the leading flat earthers have not done this convinces me that this topic is not about truth at all. Max is correct in saying that the flat earth debate is discrediting the truth movement, but I can't help but to think his anger was more driven by his ego because people are not agreeing with him. And that's a very interesting comment from Freedom Patriot, and not very much that I can disagree with there. He's saying that if the flat earthers really believed what they're saying, they'd put money into proving it. And he's saying that Max might be right about this debate discrediting the truth movement, but that his anger really stems from people not agreeing with him and him not getting as much attention as he likes. And I think both of those comments are valid, and to a large extent, that's why I like to take the piss out of both sides of a debate like the Globebusters versus Egan, because it's like, really, are either of you really being true to what you claim to be true to? So Freedom Patriot, thank you for the comment. Not really much more I can add to any of that. Supermot34 says, that's comical. By the way, I'm really looking forward to the videos you've planned for other topics. I very much identified with your view when you said that you are so deep in, and I think he means just the research, if you like, that it's hard to have a conversation even with other so-called truth seekers who have got stuck on one level or another. So thank you for the comment there, Supermod. And a couple of things. Firstly, Supermod is the one who clued me into the footage of the Southern Celestial Pole and the star trails in the south. It's actually one of his friends, this Elizart, that captured the Southern Celestial Pole and uploaded it. And then I mirrored that video on my John LeBon Extra channel a few months ago to see what the response would be like. And then I used that same footage in a video that I just uploaded recently about the South Celestial Pole. So Supermot34 is one of these people who has looked into Flat Earth, I think quite openly and genuinely and honestly, and come to the conclusion there's a few big problems with the models being put forward. So I'm very thankful for Supermot's contribution. Then he says that he can identify with my view when I've said in the past that I feel like it's hard for me to talk to even other so-called truth seekers. And this is definitely one of the most difficult parts of the deprogramming process, as I put it, because at first you wake up to this lie or to that lie, and yeah, the other people who've woken up to that are a small minority compared to the masses, but hey, at least you've got a few thousand, maybe a few million people there. Then you move on to the next step and the next step, and each step along the way, you've got less and less people to speak with and even just have a genuine conversation with, because most people are getting stuck at one level or another. Whether it's the shooting hoaxes that they're getting stuck on, or the banking system being a joke that they get stuck on, or they get a little bit further down the line, they get stuck on NASA being fake, or they get stuck on, in this case, they get stuck on the shape of the Earth. What have you, most people seem to find a niche. Even things like eating healthy and not eating animals. I mean, once you realize what eating animals is all about, you kind of have to stop it eventually, don't you? Like, it's like, whoa, what am I doing here? So I've met people who are pretty nice people, like relatively awake people who are trying to do good things, but they turn their nose up at anyone who still eats even a little bit of meat. And it's like, well, hold on. Only a few years ago, you still ate meat, but now you're going to disengage from any further research with other people who've gone further than you have in other topics because they haven't gone as far as you have in realizing what agriculture is all about. And so many people seem to find a little niche topic, and that's as far as they'll go. And so if you're someone who genuinely is skeptical, is willing to debunk any side that comes your way if it can be debunked, and is willing to try to debunk things, even things that maybe you'd like to believe, you need to double check to make sure that they are true. Eventually you find yourself more or less all alone. And I've got maybe a dozen people who follow my channel who I think if I was to sit down and have a genuine conversation, that there's every chance that within 2 hours of the conversation, we'd still be having a nice, pleasant, cordial conversation. There'd be no issues. Maybe a dozen if I'm lucky. But even my channel, the vast majority of people who follow it, they've got their own niche topics or niche beliefs or their own things they need to hold on to, where if I was being genuinely skeptical with them, the way that I am with me, if I apply the skepticism I apply to me and my beliefs, to their beliefs, within an hour or two, the vast majority of people who follow my channel would get upset or angry or disown me or what have you, because even people who've woken up to one lie or one part of the lie system, they've got other parts that they still want to hold on to very deeply and very dearly. And that's certainly what's going on with this flat earth nonsense. So, Supermod34, thank you for the comment, and thank you for your contributions to the debate. You've done more than most people, in my opinion. Now, Alyssa Hawk has left a long comment. I'm going to read the first paragraph and respond to that. She says, "It's a massive shit-ton pile of well-researched and represented historical experiments and evidences if you just want to start with Eric Dubé's 200 proofs. Sure, Some could have circular arguments. About 6 to 10 of those proofs. Some are repeats of the same proof. The remaining dozens and dozens of proofs are a preponderance of evidence the rest of us are building on a daily, privately, and online. Well, Alyssa, thank you for the comment. Just on Eric Dubé's 200 proofs there, you say that some could be circular and some could be repeats, and that's certainly true. Can you tell me, Alyssa, and please leave this if you hear this in the comments below this video, what are your 3 best proofs that the Earth is flat? Just give me 3. I don't want 200. I just want 3 separate, unique proofs that the Earth is flat. And if you can't give me proofs, just give me evidences, like a single piece of evidence that leads you to believe that the Earth is flat. I don't want evidences against the giant spinning ball Earth cosmology that we were taught, and I think most of us realize is nonsense. And I don't want arguments against NASA, who are liars, and most of us involved in this little scene know that NASA lies. I want your actual proofs that the Earth is flat. Just 3. I don't want 200. Just give me 3. And that goes for anyone listening to this. Just give me your 3 best proofs that the Earth is flat. And obviously, when you do that, it makes sense for you to actually provide your documentation or your substantiation for the claims. Don't just tell me, oh, well, water rises to eye level. No, well, okay, then prove to me that water rises to eye level no matter how high you go. Like, what's the best proof that you have of your proof? How much evidence do you have to support your proof? Make sure it's a good one. Just give me 3, Alyssa, and everybody else listening, just give me 3. Now, Miss Ali said, she's got a long comment, but I'm going to read this one in full. Would have been an opportune time to present this preponderance of evidence to Max and the audience right at this point in the discussion. Why hold back? Surely not for tonight's Globebusters special, Preponderances Revealed. Just listen to this segment, a sheer lack of evidence, while listening to Max repeatedly claim it is a circular argument. It is like the cultivation of yet another flat earth mantra, and that if something is repeated often enough, people will believe it to be so without question or the expectation of the actual evidence transpiring. And this from the people who pride themselves on evidence, unless of course it is merely another misspeak, a people paying attention to all of this. Regarding the claims in this video about the insults him and the flat earthers have to endure, I listened to their show last week, listening to their guest tell them, with his visual model on the screen, how the sun and moon are never in the sky at the same time, and they just went along with what he was saying. When I commented why they did not correct this statement, as we all know it is evidently not true, I incurred the wrath of Bob, which is still there in his comments section. There seems to be more effort towards maintaining this groupthink mentality than there is in gathering and analysing evidence. That huge donation David Weiss gave to Max Egan, as stated in the comments section for his one-man crusade, which apparently affords him 2 to 3 international trips each year, not bad for someone who has no hot water running, think I'm in the wrong game, surely could have been used to take a number of flights and assess the facts themselves, if these people are so serious and dedicated to their flat earth cause. If the flat earthers have still not built a case, despite the preponderance of evidence that will tip the scales, after all this time researching the subject, and cannot demonstrate one working and fathomable flat earth model, then it is time to acknowledge that we do not know where we are, and that this is exactly where the evidence points to, and where the focus should be. Like Sean Hemmings highlights, why is this? Something is amiss. So as always, thank you Miss Ali for the comment, and there's a couple of good points in there. One of them about feeling the wrath of Bob and the others when you dare to question them. This is certainly true. In fact, Bob got very upset at me for asking him for his 3 best proofs that the Earth is flat. Now, why would that be? If you're so sure the Earth is flat, why wouldn't you just present your evidences, present your proofs? Why not? His argument is that, oh, it was the live chat of a flat Earth show that wasn't being serious and blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently it was being serious, Bob, because look how upset you got when someone asked you for your 3 proofs. And this is what they do. They cultivate this groupthink mentality in their live chats. Bob is on the record as saying that he thinks that anyone who is being detrimental to their cause should be banned from the chat. He doesn't want them there. They're genuinely cultivating a groupthink mentality. In contrast, look at my channel. There are people posting all kinds of nonsense about me, that I'm a paid shill, blah, blah, blah. I just let those comments stay. Just let them say, like, let their words speak for themselves. They're going to make these claims about me and provide no proof. Well, any sane, rational, objective person will say, all right, then you're going to make a claim with no proof, move on and not worry about it. But I think with these flat earthers, they can't really afford to do that as much, because when you start questioning for evidence and they're claiming that they've got some, very quickly realize they don't have anywhere near as much as they claim. And so they're trying to avoid that. So Miss Elliot, many good points in there. I can't respond to all of them, but thank you for the comment. And again, all of these comments, if anyone wants to double check them for themselves, just go and check out the video. The link to the original video, the one that I'm doing the comment response based on now, will be in the info box below this video that you're listening to right now on John Le Bon Extra. So Go Away says, a circular argument isn't a debate that's unprovable either way, as Max seems to think. That's a very good point, Go Away, and it's kind of expanded upon by JLBE1642 right above, so I'll read out his comment verbatim. Neither term is being applied correctly. A circular argument is one where the conclusion is included in one or more of the premises, not an argument that goes back and forth with no apparent means to a conclusion. There is only a preponderance of evidence if you cherry pick without good reason which evidence you accept. Occam's razor is the principle that in explaining a thing no more assumptions should be made than are necessary. In science, it is used to help decide which theoretical models warrant greater investigation. It is not considered an irrefutable principle of logic or a scientific result. Bob completely misuses this term irregularly. If he actually understood what it meant and applied it to the vast and elaborate conspiracy assumptions that Flat Earth requires, he would have no choice other than to abandon his position. Flat Earthers wishing to dabble further into philosophy might want to consider this quote from Bertrand Russell. The method of postulating what we want has many advantages. They are the same as the advantages of theft over honest toil. So JMPanda2012, thank you so much for the comment. You've been a terrific commenter of late, and you make an excellent point there. Max Egan is using the term circular argument incorrectly, and Bob is using the term preponderance of evidence incorrectly. But this just shows how stupid all of their followers are, that they're not being called out on it. I would hope that if I were misusing a term, one of my commenters, whether they like me or not, would say, JLB, you've used this term. I think you think it means this, but actually it means this other thing. And then if you're right, I can correct it. You'll be helping me, be doing a favor, right? Why has no one called Max Egan out about the fact that he's using the term circular argument incorrectly? Why have none of the Globebusters followers said, hey, Bob or Jern, we agree with you about the shape of the Earth. But the thing is, when you say preponderance of evidence, it doesn't actually mean what you think it means. Here's what it means. Why has no one done that? Or have they done that and been banned from the channel? Have they done that and been ignored? I don't know. But when people are going to repeat 10 or 20 times in a video, preponderance of evidence or circular argument, these slogans, if they're going to do that and no one's going to call them out on it, what does that tell you about the quality of their listenership? What kind of people do you think are listening to these people and taking them seriously? Something to think about. Jim Panda, thank you for the comment. Lucas Cullen, my buddy from Bitcoin Brisbane, says, Max sounds intelligent. Anyone know how to get to Shell Beach? Yes, I went to Shell Beach when I was a child, Lucas. I'm pretty sure I know the way. Coast Foco says they want their own mental enslavement. I have questions, don't get me wrong, but this community seems geared only toward wasting real life hours. What else has hours and hours of content daily but moves nowhere and proves nothing? Excellent question, Coast Foco. I'll leave it at that. Snide2 says, just let NASA and the world government lie. There's no reason to speak out about anything or hold anyone accountable. Just submit to authority because they know what's right for you, your family, and humanity. You don't. Your opinion doesn't matter anyway. And obviously Snide2 is being sarcastic with this comment. He's saying, JLB, if you're going to mock the leading flat earthers, then why don't we all just give up and let NASA and the world governments lie? And you see, this is the mindset of these flat earthers. They actually think that the leading flat earth YouTube channels are going to solve the deception and the lies that are being given to us by the authorities. They actually believe that. So they see people like me mocking their flat earth leaders or criticizing them in any way as being an attempt to stop the salvation of humanity. That's the way that people like Snide2 see it. They've given all of their hope over to these leading flat earthers. And there are many people like Snide2 who actually believe this. They believe the way to bring down NASA is to watch and to never criticize people like Bob and Jeronism and Patricia Steer and all these others. They actually believe that. That's their mindset. And it is clearly a cult mindset. And Snide2, I know that you can't see that. Many people can, though. I think more and more people are starting to realize this. And hopefully in time you do too. And in terms of the lies of humanity, if you actually think that the biggest lie that they're telling us is the shape of the earth on which we live, you're closer to being a Fox News sleeple than you are to being a genuine truth seeker who understands anything about what's really going on. I know in your mind that seems crazy because you think you've got it all worked out. They lied to me about us living on a giant spinning ball. That's the biggest lie. I know in your mind that makes sense, and to a lot of people that makes sense. Maybe in time it won't. Hopefully in time it doesn't. Hopefully in time you realize just how misled you've been. But for the time being, by all means, keep criticizing those of us who are pointing out that you're being lied to by your flat earth leaders and expecting them to bring you to salvation. Good luck with that, Snide to you. Who knows? It might work out for you. Kavik Canada says, replaying the same shit, make your own videos, fuck this channel, unsubscribed. See you later, Kavik Canada. Best of luck on your journeys. Scott McCullum says, I have made an observation or two, but are happy to be incorrect. Flat earthers on the whole seem to have a poorly developed sense of humour. Even the nice polite ones seem to find life very serious. Secondly, the vast majority find three-dimensional concepts faulty. There seems to be a tendency to think in two dimensions. Thinking about it, it seems like they somehow bring this limitation into other aspects of mental process, i.e. dichotomy, and maybe even strawman. Very good point, Scott McCullum. This idea that maybe these people are exactly the kind of people who've been programmed into only thinking in, as you put it, two dimensions. They can only think in, well, it used to be a giant spinning ball, now it's flat. That's all that they're capable of because they're heavily programmed, just like the rest of the masses. I hadn't thought of it that way, but that seems to have some merit to it. You know, if you've been heavily programmed from a young age to see things in black or white, red or blue, Republican versus Democrat, etc., then when someone comes along and says, it was a giant spinning ball, but now we're telling you it's flat, bang, these are the kind of chumps that'll straight away believe in flat because they cannot think for themselves. They cannot think through an issue. They need to be given two answers and then to pick which one they prefer. Very good point, Scott. Thank you for the comment. Healthy Skeptic says, I think people are kind of ignoring the elephant in the room, which is, what do we do once we know either way the earth is flat or not? At least Max wants freedom, and I'm pretty sure he's got some ideas on how to become more active in gaining freedom. Those that claim the earth is flat, seems like their main motivation is to keep exposing NASA, keep raising awareness, and monetizing whenever capable. I hope that my message here is clear. I need to know what is the next step. Most of us already know government lies, knows the media is scripted, knows the banks are corrupt. So what do we do now? Can we come together? Can we organize something worldwide? Maybe this flat earth is a tool to get everyone together. I wish more people would start talking about the next phase. I've seen all the NASA fakery. I've seen all the nonsense science. I'm with Max on this. Let's do something about it. I wish I could have called in and asked his opinions on what to do next. So that's an interesting comment from Healthy Skeptic, basically saying that in his opinion, or her opinion, we'll just go with him for now, that he can see that NASA's lying, and he can see that what we were told about the giant spinning ball Earth isn't really backed by evidence the way that we were told that it is. So what do we do next? And this is it, isn't it? People are looking for answers. If you're being lied to by the government or by whoever runs the show, that's a problem. You naturally want solutions. And so I think that's where a lot of these people pushing their own channels or their own personalities or trying to make money from this is where they've got such a latent market because, hey, not only are you showing people that they've been lied to about something, but you're also offering them the instant solution. But don't worry, me and a few thousand other people, there's millions, a few millions, we've all worked it out. We're going to take NASA down. We're going to change the world. It's going to go from 5% to 95% overnight. They're selling this idea that it's all going to be fixed and all you need to do is pay them your attention, maybe pay them some of your money. And people like Healthy Skeptic, that's what they want. They want a solution. Of course, the more that you think about these things, for me, from my perspective, the more obvious it becomes that the best solution is going to be internal, trying to fix yourself, trying to help yourself, trying to improve yourself and deprogram yourself as a first starting point before trying to help anybody else. Now, of course, they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time. And I would like to think that over the last couple of years, I've helped myself and helped others in a way. But ultimately, any problem that's in my life, whether I'm being lied to by the authorities or my people are being genocided or my country is falling into a cultural Marxist quagmire or whatever the case may be, the best place to start solving that problem is with me. How much am I helping that system? Because ultimately, hey, I have a job, I earn money, I spend money. That's helping the people who run the show, isn't it? I pay attention to their nonsense political games and I do this and I do that. Ultimately, that's helping them. What am I doing to reduce how much I help them? What am I doing to reduce my programming? And of course, to reduce your own programming, you've got to question everything about your beliefs. I mean, this process of deprogramming, it's almost like a circle in the sense of you deprogram something, something else. Before you know it, there was something else that you believed, but now you have to debunk that again and sort of go around and around again. I mean, I'll give you an example. The book Brave New World, I've recently discovered a few things where when I discovered them, I was like, hold on, when I read that in Brave New World, I read that allegorically, but actually maybe that was actually another legitimate, like that wasn't an allegory, that was putting it in plain sight. Do you know what I mean? Like 1984, I read that one in full. The first time I read it, there was so much I didn't understand about what I know now, so I had to go back and reread passages. Oh, they make a lot more sense to me. There were parts that when I first read it, I was like, oh yeah, he's telling us how it is. There were other parts that I thought were allegorical. The more I learned, the more I realised they weren't allegories. He was actually telling us exactly how it is. I think it might be the same with Brave New World. So you can see, the more you learn, the further you go along, the more of your own beliefs you have to challenge and break. And I think that's one of the big problems facing a lot of these flat earthers is they don't want to lose any more beliefs. It was hard enough losing their trust in government. It was hard enough losing their trust in the media. It was hard enough realising that their friends and family aren't very bright or aren't very clued on to what's really going on. They've had to give up so much of who they used to be. This flat earth thing is giving them something new. They don't want to let go of that, do they? But if they're being honest with themselves, the easiest way to stop the lies is to stop believing lies, no matter who they're coming from. And that's going to be the big challenge for a lot of them going forward. But Healthy Skeptic, thank you for the comment. And good name too, I love that. Joey Herbs says, ha ha ha, this is great. Thank you, Joey. Yeah, I mean, I do try and put a bit of humour into some of my videos. Obviously, laughter is often the best medicine, as they put it. Helps the medicine go down, if you like. And so every now and then I like to put a bit of comedy into the videos. And that one did seem to get a few positive responses. So I'm always glad to hear that when people are, when other people find the work that I do amusing. So thank you, Joey, for the comment. Now, Duck in Space, aka Fake Clouds in Sky, says, preponderance of demonstrable bullshit. Don't waste your time on these Muppets. John, obviously that's old fake spaceman in space, Fake Clouds in Sky. He's gone by a few names. I think his name, what is his name? Jamie. Jamie over there in England obviously was heavily involved in Flat Earth before it got close to the size that it is now. And since then has been slowly but surely making a bit of a pest of himself, but trying to stop people from believing in Flat Earth, and that's entirely up to him. For me personally, people do ask me, why do I, spend so much time following this scene on YouTube? And I suppose there's a number of reasons why I do. Firstly, through following this scene, I have learnt an awful lot, not just about things like the Flat Earth and what Flat Earthers believe and the problems with the spinning ball Earth model, but even just psychology and group psychology. I mean, I have never been involved in a cult, or at least not one quite as obvious as this Flat Earth one. And so to see the way that people, otherwise sensible, rational people, otherwise skeptical people, will start defending their leaders rapidly, in many cases, simply to give themselves something to believe in, it's something you have to see and you have to witness, whether it's in a live chat, in a live show, or in the comments section, or even just listening to the way that some of these Flat Earth leaders themselves sort of discuss things amongst themselves in their live shows. If you're really paying attention on a meta level, there's plenty to be learnt here. And so whether it's the meta level group psychology, whether it's the more straightforward different topics that are being discussed, whether it is the Flat Earth or the dino fraud or the evolution hoax or what have you, some things that mixed in with this. Obviously, a few weeks ago, GeoShifter made that video about the placebo effect and cigarettes, and is the government killing more people by putting these messages on packets? That's another thing I wouldn't have thought about had it not been for me following this scene. So there are plenty of good things to come from it. I can fully see why some people would say, well, don't waste your time with it, don't waste your time. To me, it's not wasting my time, and I feel as though slowly but surely I'm doing my bit to show people why I think the Flat Earth maps and models are bogus. And if I can help anybody who is misled stop being misled, that'll be a huge bonus. But by simply putting my content out there, I kind of feel like it's helping me. It forces me to go and find the evidence, present the evidence. I mean, having your own YouTube channel does force you to do, if you're a bit of a perfectionist about it, or if you're trying to put out the best material you can, it forces you to be a lot more methodical in your research and in your presentation skills, etc. So I've said this before, I'll say it again, I get so much from my YouTube channel. I've gotten so much from it personally in terms of the skills that I have in presenting information with the video, in terms of doing research, presenting research, mixing with other people. I've got so much from watching other people, seeing the way that they carry on and behave. And yeah, I've gotten so much from all of this. So I can understand why some people say that it's a waste of time. And if it is to them, that's fine. I'm not going to try and change their mind. But for me personally, I've gotten plenty from this. And I think over the next month or two, as I slowly wind down the attention that I pay to this scene, I'll be able to leave it feeling like I did as much as I could before moving on to the next thing. And look, in many ways, it is, I think, a reasonable criticism to make of me that I was obviously a big part of the Ball Earth Skeptic Roundtable, which was a big part of kicking off this entire Flat Earth scene. And so even though I repeated on many, many episodes of that I don't believe in the Flat Earth, there are problems with the Flat Earth, just because I don't believe in the giant spinning ball anymore doesn't mean I believe in the Flat Earth, etc. Even though I was stressing that time and time again in the episodes, what I didn't realize at the time was just how utterly moronic most people are, including the listeners of my own show. And so in a way, even though I couldn't have been more clear in saying, look, I'm hosting this show, but I do not believe that the Earth is flat, the fact that show existed might have helped more people be led down the path of believing in a flat Earth that's going to save the world and blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of what I'm doing now, I feel as though I'm trying to correct a wrong that might have been done unintentionally through doing my show, through not realizing just how utterly moronic most people are. I might not have realized that I was helping to build something that doesn't deserve to be getting the attention that it does. And so bit by bit, as I see a problem with the Flat Earth arguments being made, releasing videos saying, hey, they're claiming this, but here's what the evidence says, I feel like I'm doing my part to try and correct that, if that makes sense. So I'm almost done. I think maybe another month or two, and I should have this entire Flat Earth topic just about done and dusted. But for the time being, I'm still enjoying it, and I still enjoy listening to their shows. And again, even the shows by some of the hosts who I think might be misleading people, intentionally or unintentionally, every now and then there's something that they'll say that gives me something to look into and to research for myself. And realistically, let's be honest here, guys, realistically, how many places, if you like to go for walks and listen to podcasts, how many places are there out there where you can listen to people speak for an hour or two and you're listening to people who know that NASA lie, who know that the government isn't their friend, etc., etc., even if you disagree with them about the shape of the Earth, how many places can you go to listen to people who at least have some things worked out? There aren't that many places, are there? And I guess this goes back to what I was saying at the start of the video, where if you want to listen to people talk about how NASA's fake, or if you just want to listen to people who know that NASA's fake, even if they're not talking about it, you just know you're listening to people who aren't completely moronic in that regard, you almost have to go to Flat Earth now. That's how far it's, like the Flat Earth, YouTubers, that's how far all of this has gotten. And I can see why people who don't believe in Flat Earth, but who do believe that NASA lies, I can see why they get frustrated with the attention that Flat Earth gets, because they're saying, hey, we can prove that NASA lies without talking about this Flat Earth nonsense. And I think that's a very fair way to see things. But anyway, one more comment. Curtis Knight says, John, I'm incredibly sick of all these hosts of all these shows picking on each other for disagreeing with their point of view. I like your skepticism, and I like when you point out when us globe skeptics, I hate the term flat earther, are guilty of the same sheep mentality when following our favourite flat earth channels. I think overall it's a waste of time for all these personalities to promote and or shit talk other hosts. We should all stick to the experiments and observations. And that last sentence I think sums it up. Just stick to the experiments and observations, stick to the self-evident truths, stick to the facts, stick to the empirical data, stick to doing genuine science in the scientific method. To me, that makes perfect sense. That's what I'm trying to do. A lot of these leading flat earthers, they're not the least bit interested in doing their own experiments. They even openly admit it. And I think once you have someone who openly admits that they're not interested in doing their own experiments or doing their own research, then you're either listening to them to help find areas where they perhaps can help be corrected. You're trying to listen to them because you want to find things that you can say to other people. Look, this person said this. Do you really believe that? Or you're listening to them because you don't care about science and research and evidence yourself. You're just here for feelings. And I think most people involved in Flat Earth, they are just here for feelings. And hey, that's up to them. We've all got things that we want to do with our lives or things that are important to us. New Age religions, and Flat Earth is clearly a New Age religion now. If people feel good with Flat Earth as a New Age religion, I say, hey, that's not, I don't have a problem. I don't really have a problem with that. People can have whatever religion they want. The issue is where they try and pass it off as being based on evidence or based on science. That's where the real issue is for me. And of course, if you go back and listen to those Baller Skeptic Roundtables from last year, the 12 episode season, what you'll find is that we overall had a much more rigorous approach to all of this. At the time, we were saying, well, look, here's what they're claiming with the giant spinning ball. Can they actually prove that? Here's what the heliocentric model says. Did you know that it says this? Now that you know that it says this, do you really believe that? Here's what they claim that they could prove with this experiment. Does that really make sense to you? Et cetera, et cetera. There was a much more genuine attempt at trying to look at things objectively and say, what can we actually deduce for ourselves? In the 12 months or so since, obviously, it's been taken over by feelings-based self-promoters who are promoting themselves, promoting their channels, making money, and I think ultimately misleading a lot of people. And if you want to be misled by them, or if you think, oh, they're not misleading us, they're going to take us to the promised land, and it's going to go from 5% to 95% overnight. And if you want to believe all of this stuff, hey, go for it. It doesn't really bother me personally, but you don't have to listen to my channel. You can just unsubscribe right now. I said at the start of the year, I'm taking this channel in a direction that's a little bit different to what you might have expected. So if you don't want to hear things that you don't want to hear, just unsubscribe. I won't come looking for you. I won't come posting my comments trying to, get up people's nostrils on their channels. You can do whatever you want. That's up to you. But my channel, I'm going to look at the evidence that we can find. I'm going to see what conclusions we can come up with as a result of that, and try and be as honest as we can. And if we're being perfectly honest, there aren't 200 proofs that the Earth is flat. In fact, I'm still waiting for someone to provide me with 3 proofs that the Earth is flat that are backed by actual evidence or empirical data. That's what I'm waiting for, and maybe you can provide some to me. So, as we come towards the end of this video, please, underneath the comment section of this video, give me your 3 best proofs that the Earth is flat. Not your proofs that we don't live on a giant spinning ball, not your proofs that NASA lies. Just give me your proofs that the Earth is flat. And if you can't do that, maybe it's time to start questioning these people who are telling you that the Earth is flat and that they're going to change the world with this new truth of theirs. So that one did take a while. I got through 20 comments. Thank you to everyone who left a comment. Obviously, I don't have time to get through all of them, but I'm basically making a short list now for these videos and then getting through those comments. And I know that in the past I did try and reply directly, typing to everybody. I hope you can appreciate why that's just not an option for me at the moment. Time is very precious, so I think doing this kind of, whether it's 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, this kind of show, by the time I render it, like edit it, render it, upload it, there's several hours that anyone can listen to this now and get a better idea of my opinion on what's being said, rather than having to read through the comments that would take me just as long to respond to one by one. So keep the comments coming. I do appreciate them. If you've got anything you want to contact me about privately, obviously my email's right there, johnlebon123@gmail.com, or you can message me privately on YouTube as well. I prefer emails because then I see them. Messages, sometimes they kind of get lost. But if you want to get in contact privately, you can do that. And one more thing too, I noticed that on one of my recent videos, some people left comments about the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, or about Jewish supremacism, or what have you, something like this, and the comments just disappeared. Now, I didn't realize this. My old buddy Gino down there in Melbourne, he pointed out, he said, Jono, did you delete those comments? Like, what was going on? I'm like, I didn't delete any comments. What are you talking about? He said there were comments there about the protocols and about Jewish supremacism, and you've deleted them. I definitely did not delete them, and they're definitely not in my spam folder. They're not in my published comments folder. They're nowhere. They've disappeared. So if you did leave those comments and your comments have disappeared, I can assure you right now I did not delete them. I don't even delete the comments criticizing me. So why would I delete comments of people criticizing the usual suspects? Why would I do that? I wouldn't. So please, if you're out there, if you thought, hey, JLB deleted my comments, no, I did not. And if you ever notice your comments disappearing, please get in touch with me. Sometimes if you leave a link, like a YouTube link, YouTube will automatically put it in the spam folder. So sometimes that might happen. But if you've left a comment with no links to anything else, no apparent reason why it should be gone, and you notice a day or two later that it's gone, please get in touch with me. Because if this is happening, if comments are getting deleted automatically by YouTube, especially if they're on a certain topic about a certain group of people, then this is something that I'd like to know. So, like I said, please get in touch with me if you notice that. But I think that's about it for now. So for the comment response number 3, in regards to flat earth preponderance of evidence or circular argument on the 9th of May 2016. Thank you for listening. This has been John LeBon. I've got more videos coming in the near future, but for the time being, that is it for now. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves.